The crash in the desert. The desert wind howled across the empty planet of Xylara. Captain Raylan wiped sweat from his forehead as he looked across the endless red sand. The sun was low, casting long shadows behind the rocks. His outpost was small, just a metal hut, a few crates, and an old comm tower barely working. He liked it that way. Quiet, lonely, far from war. But then, something bright streaked across the sky. It moved fast. A ball of fire trailing smoke. It wasn't a meteor. Raylan knew that shape. It was a small escape pod, and it was crashing. Boom. The ground shook lightly as the pod slammed into the sand. Not too far from his station, a cloud of dust rose in the distance. Raylan grabbed his gear, helmet, rifle, scanner. Old soldier instincts came alive. He jumped on his hoverbike and sped toward the crash. 10 minutes later, he found it. The pod was half buried in the sand, smoking from its broken engines. The outer door had popped open, twisted like foil. Strange symbols were burned into the side, clearly not human. Raylan approached slowly. "Hello?" he called out. "Is anyone alive?" No answer. He pointed his rifle forward and stepped inside. The air was thick and warm. Sparks flew from a broken panel. The inside of the pod was small but enough for 2 or 3 passengers. Then he heard it, a soft sound, like crying. He lowered his gun and turned a corner, and froze. 2 aliens were huddled in the back of the pod, a woman and a child. The woman had violet skin, long black hair, and bright green eyes full of fear. Her arm was bleeding and her body shook. She held a little girl tightly in her arms. The girl looked no older than 6, and her eyes were wide with terror. Raylan raised his hands slowly. "It's okay. I'm not here to hurt you." The woman flinched. "I'm human," he said gently. "I'm here to help." The child whimpered. The woman's eyes scanned him, searching for a lie. But something in his voice made her breathe a little easier. She spoke, her voice soft and broken. "Please, don't let them take us." Raylan blinked. "Who?" "The soldiers. The ones who shot us down." Raylan looked at the damage. It wasn't an accident. The pod had been attacked. "Are you being hunted?" he asked. She nodded slowly. "They want my daughter." Raylan stepped closer. "Why?" The woman shook her head. "She's special. They call her a target, but she's just a child." The little girl buried her face into her mother's shoulder. Raylan felt something heavy in his chest. He knew war. He had seen innocents suffer. But this was different. This was a mother trying to protect her child from monsters. He knelt beside them. "My name is Raylan," he said. "I was a soldier once, now I live alone. My outpost is hidden. You'll be safe there." The woman looked at him with tired eyes. "Why would you help us?" he answered without thinking. "Because someone has to." Raylan carried the child while the woman limped beside him. The walk to his hoverbike was slow. The little girl didn't speak, but she kept looking up at him. When they reached the bike, he helped them both sit. The machine wasn't made for 3 people, but it would have to do. As they rode back, the child finally spoke in a small voice. "Are you a hero?" Raylan smiled sadly. "No. Just a guy who didn't turn away." The girl held on to him tighter. Back at the outpost, Raylan treated the woman's wounds. She told him her name was Jaya, and her daughter's name was Nima. They were refugees from a peaceful planet destroyed in a silent raid. Jaya once worked in medicine. Nima was born during the escape. They had been running ever since. Raylan gave them clean clothes, warm food, and a quiet place to rest. As night fell, Jaya sat by the window, watching the stars. "Thank you," she said softly. Raylan nodded. "You're safe now." But deep down he knew better. Whoever shot them down wasn't finished yet. And if they found his outpost, they'd all be in danger. The soldier, the stranger, and the child. The morning after the crash was quiet but uneasy. Raylan stood outside his small outpost, looking out at the desert. The wind was calm, the skies were clear, but something inside him felt heavy, like a storm was waiting beyond the hills. Inside, Zaya sat on a thin mat, her injured leg resting on a folded blanket. She had cleaned herself up. Her long black hair was now tied back, and she wore a simple robe Raylan had found in his old storage bin. Beside her, little Nima traced patterns on the dusty floor with her small fingers. Raylan entered with a plate of warm root bread and dried fruit. "Breakfast," he said. Jaya looked up. "You didn't have to." Raylan shrugged. "You didn't ask to crash here either." She accepted the food and handed a piece to Nima. The girl smiled and bit into it hungrily. For a moment, Raylan watched them in silence. It felt strange, having someone else in his space. For years he lived alone. No noise, no footsteps, no warm voices. Now this room felt full again. Later that day, Nima followed Raylan outside as he worked on his solar panels. She didn't speak much, just watched. Raylan wiped sweat from his forehead. "You like machines?" Nima nodded. "Want to help?" She smiled. He handed her a small tool, and together they cleaned the dust off the metal plates. Nima moved carefully, serious like a little soldier. When they finished, she looked up at him and said, "My real daddy is gone." Raylan paused. "I'm sorry," he said. She looked away. "He was taken when I was a baby. Mama said he was strong, but not strong enough." Raylan crouched beside her. "I'm sure he tried his best." She stared at him for a moment, then whispered, "But you're strong." Those words hit him like a punch to the chest. He said nothing, just nodded and smiled. Back inside, Zaya sat quietly, holding an old photo she had kept in a hidden pocket. Her husband, and a tiny baby with wide, glowing eyes. Her hands trembled. Raylan approached. "Is that him?" She didn't answer at first, then softly said, "He was a healer, kind, brave. He stayed behind to let us escape." Raylan looked at the photo. "You loved him." "I still do," she said. "But grief doesn't keep you safe." They sat in silence. Then Jaya turned to him. "Why are you really here, Raylan? Why live out here in this empty land?" He took a deep breath. "I was a soldier, fought in 3 border wars. I saw cities fall, people burned, orders that didn't feel right. One day I saved a child against orders. Got discharged. They gave me this outpost far away. I took it." Jaya studied his face. "So you saved a child and lost everything." He nodded. "Seemed worth." She looked down. "You haven't changed. You saved mine too." That night the stars burned brighter than usual. Jaya stood outside alone, holding Nima in her arms. The child was fast asleep. Raylan stepped beside them. "She's special," he said. Jaya nodded. "More than she knows. Her father came from a bloodline that holds ancient knowledge, energy that can heal or destroy." Raylan looked surprised. "She's gifted?" "Yes," Jaya said quietly. "That's why they want her." Raylan tensed. "Who are they?" Jaya looked at him carefully. "Hunters, genetic thieves, not human. They collect children like her, sell them, train them, break them." Raylan's fists clenched. "You think they'll come here?" She nodded slowly. "They don't stop. Ever." Later, Raylan sat alone with his old rifle across his lap. He remembered Nima's words. "You're strong." He had buried his past, chose to live in silence. But now there was a girl who saw him not as a broken soldier, but as a protector, and a mother who looked at him not with fear, but hope. The wind outside changed. The desert grew colder. Far in the distance, a strange, blinking light flickered in the sky, too steady to be a star. Raylan stood up. He wasn't just guarding his outpost anymore. He was guarding a family. They're coming for the girl. Raylan didn't sleep that night. He sat on the roof of his outpost, wrapped in an old cloak, his rifle across his lap. The wind was quiet, but the stars above flickered with unease. Something was coming. He could feel it in his bones. Below him, inside the outpost, Jaya and Nima slept side by side. The mother held the child tight, her arms never loosening even in sleep. As if letting go might take Nima away forever. Raylan's eyes locked on the blinking light far on the horizon, barely visible but moving. Not a ship. Not yet. A scout. He muttered to himself. They found her. The next morning, he went into town, if you could call it that. Just a few shops and traders scattered near a dried-out well. Raylan rarely visited, but today he had to. He traded 2 solar batteries for old satellite parts and bought a field jammer from a shady vendor. You planning for trouble? The vendor asked. Raylan didn't answer. He rode back fast. Time was running out. Jaya was fixing a torn blanket when he returned. She looked up and saw his face. They're close, aren't they? She asked. He nodded. Less than 2 days. She didn't panic. She just held Nima tighter. Raylan handed her a small comm badge. If I say run, you don't argue. You take her. You go. Jaya looked at him, calm but strong. And what about you? He looked away. I fought before. I can hold them off. Nima ran up and hugged his leg. You're not going to leave us, right? She asked. Raylan knelt. No, little star. I'm right here. I promise. That evening, Jaya told Raylan the full truth. Nima's father wasn't just from an ancient bloodline. He carried living energy, raw, untrained, but he passed it into her. She doesn't know? Raylan asked. She only knows she can do things. Strange things. When she cries, plants grow. When she gets scared, lights flicker. Raylan was quiet for a moment. She's a miracle. Jaya's voice trembled. To me, she's just my baby. Raylan put a hand on her shoulder. She's more than that. She's hope. For you. For her kind. For all of us. That night, something strange happened. Nima had a nightmare. She screamed in her sleep. The lights in the room exploded. Glass shattered. A blue light filled the outpost. Wind spun inside the walls. Jaya rushed to her. Raylan pulled the girl into his arms. Nima, wake up. The light slowly faded. Nima blinked awake, crying. I saw bad men. They were coming. I was alone. Raylan held her close. You're not alone. Never. The lights came back. But now Raylan knew. Her power was waking up, and the hunters would come faster than ever. The next morning he set up traps outside, old mines, flash bombs, a small jammer field to block scanners. Jaya stood beside him, watching. Why are you doing all this? She asked softly. Raylan paused. Because this time, I'm not losing the ones I care about. She looked at him with wide eyes, and if you don't survive, he smiled faintly, then make sure she does. But Nima had her own thoughts. That evening she sat beside Raylan with a drawing she made. It showed 3 stick figures, one tall, one medium, and one small. A sun smiled above them. Who's this? He asked. She pointed. That's you. That's me, and that's Mama. Raylan's heart felt heavy. She added, You're my daddy now. He didn't know what to say, so he just nodded and held her close. Far in the desert, under cover of a sandstorm, a small black ship landed quietly. 2 armored hunters stepped onto the red sand. Their eyes glowed red. One of them growled, Target is near. Begin sweep. They were silent. They were deadly. And they were coming. The trap and the truth. The sandstorm came at dusk. The desert sky turned orange-gray, winds howling across the hills. Visibility dropped. The outpost lights flickered. Raylan stood outside in his full gear. Body armor, old combat rifle, grenades on his belt. He'd fought in 3 wars, but tonight felt different. Tonight, he wasn't fighting for orders. He was fighting for family. Inside the outpost, Jaya held Nima tightly. The girl felt strange. hot like her blood was glowing under her skin. "I don't feel right, Mama," she whispered. Jaya touched her forehead. "You're not sick, little star. You're waking up." Nima looked confused. "Waking up?" Jaya nodded. "The gift in you. It's alive now, it's getting stronger." Nima looked at the walls. "I'm scared." Jaya kissed her head. "It's okay to be scared, but you're not alone." Outside, Raylan placed a remote mine near the east dune. The scanner on his wrist beeped. Movement detected. Then more beeps. Too many. "They're here," he whispered. 2 armored hunters moved through the sand. They were tall, thin, with black armor that bent light around them. Silent, cold, efficient. One stopped and looked at the outpost. "She is inside," it said in a flat voice. "The power source is active." The other nodded. "We extract the child, eliminate the others." Raylan crouched behind a rock, watching through his scope. He pressed a button on his wrist. Boom! The mine exploded under one of the hunters, but it wasn't enough. The hunter flew back, armor cracked but still alive. Raylan fired. His bullet sparked off the second hunter's shield. Then lasers lit up the sky. The battle began. Jaya heard the blasts. She ran to the wall panel, activated the turret system. Old guns hidden in the ground rose and began firing. Nima stood in the center of the room, trembling. "I can feel them," she whispered. Jaya turned to her. "Close your eyes. Breathe. You're not weak." Nima's hands glowed faint blue. Suddenly, the outpost walls began to hum. The lights flickered, then turned bright white. Outside, one hunter pushed through the storm, firing a pulse cannon. Raylan rolled and ducked behind cover. "Damn machines," he growled. Then he heard it. A strange humming sound. He looked up. A wall of glowing blue light rose around the outpost like a shield. "What the—" Inside, Nima stood alone in the center of the room. Her hair floated gently, her eyes glowing silver blue. Energy moved around her like soft fire. Jaya watched in awe. "You're controlling it," she whispered. Nima looked calm now. "They hurt you. I won't let them again." The hunters stepped forward. One raised a scanner. Energy spike rising. Impossible levels. Then a blast of light burst from the outpost. Pure, bright, and silent. It hit the hunters full force. Their armor cracked. Systems failed. One screamed, the other vanished in smoke. Raylan stared, stunned. He had seen bombs, weapons, even plasma storms. But nothing like this. He ran back inside. Nima collapsed into his arms, tired but smiling. "I stopped them," she whispered. "You sure did," Raylan said softly. "You're a fighter." Jaya rushed over. "Is she okay?" Raylan nodded. "She saved us." Later, they sat near the fire. Jaya looked at Raylan. "You saw it now. Her gift. Her danger." He nodded. "And I'm still not leaving." She smiled gently. "You're not just a soldier anymore." Raylan looked at Nima, who now slept peacefully with her head on his lap. "No," he said. "I'm something else now. I'm something far above, in deep orbit." Another ship watched. Inside, a shadowed figure whispered. She activated. "Begin phase 2. More were coming. More powerful. More cruel. But this time, they would not be facing just a child. They'd be facing a child, her mother, and a human who had nothing left to lose. Phase 2 begins. The calm didn't last. Raylan stood outside the bunker, eyes on the sky. It was quiet, but wrong. Too still. No wind, no birds, no sound. Then the signal came. His old comm unit, silent for years, suddenly lit up. Incoming transmission. Class Black clearance required. Raylan stared at the screen. Only high-level military alerts ever use that class. He tapped into it. A voice spoke, cold and sharp. Phase 2 initiated. Subject 9X located. Full retrieval in progress. Raylan's jaw clenched. They know she's here. He rushed back inside. Jaya was already suiting up. Her eyes met his. You felt it too? She asked. Raylan nodded. They're not sending hunters this time. They're sending monsters. Jaya picked up her old med bag, now filled with tools, power cells, and small field bombs. We won't. Run, she said. Raylan glanced at Nima, who stood barefoot watching them. She looked calm. Still, but her eyes glowed faintly, even in the light. I had another dream, she said. Raylan crouched beside her. What did you see, little star? Nima looked up. A tall man in black. He had no face, but I heard him say, You are the key. Raylan and Jaya exchanged a glance. Jaya whispered, She's not just gifted. They built their entire project around her. 2 hours later, the sky turned black at noon. From above, a massive triangular ship blocked the sun. Its engines rumbled like thunder. Raylan stared at it through binoculars. Galactcore ship, command class. I've never seen one up close, he turned to Jaya. We don't win this with guns. Jaya nodded. We win it with her. Inside, Nima sat cross-legged, breathing slow. Around her, small stones floated off the ground. Her hands glowed, blue, white, even gold for a moment. Then, the ground shook. A voice echoed from the ship. Above, this is Commander Vec of the Galactcore Retrieval Fleet. Turn over the child, or we will erase your settlement. Raylan grabbed the comm. This isn't a settlement, it's a home, and she's not going anywhere. The voice answered, flat and cold. Then prepare for extinction. The attack began. 5 drop pods crashed into the sand, each one unleashing a brute soldier, twice the size of a man, armored in black steel, red eyes glowing, no mouths. Raylan opened fire. Jaya activated the shield gate around the bunker. But they were strong. Too strong. One soldier crushed a turret with its bare hand. Another fired a shockwave that cracked the outer wall. Inside, Nima began to shake. I can't hold it, she whispered. Raylan rushed to her. You're stronger than you think. You've already saved us once, but this is too big, she cried. Jaya stepped forward. Then let us carry it together. She reached out and touched her daughter's heart. Something pulsed. A deep glow surrounded them both. Mother and daughter connected. And then, Nima stood tall. Outside, the soldiers stopped. They turned, scanning something in the air. A pressure wave rolled across the desert. The sand floated. Time slowed. Then a blast of white light exploded from the bunker. A beam of pure energy surged into the sky and hit the command ship directly. Boom. Metal cracked, alarms rang inside the enemy ship. Commander Vec stood frozen as panels exploded around him. She's ascending, he said. Back on the ground, Nima collapsed. Raylan caught her. Jaya knelt beside them. She used too much. Raylan held the child close. We need to finish this before they send more. Jaya looked at him, her voice calm but pained. There's one way. He looked at her. No. She nodded. Yes. The core inside her. The living energy. It can overload their systems. If we connect her to the old base grid, she can shut them down. But it'll burn her out. Jaya looked at her sleeping child. She was never meant to be used, but now she can choose. We can choose. Raylan closed his eyes. He had already lost too much in war. He wouldn't lose her too. He stood up and looked at the sky. I'll do it, he said. Jaya blinked. What? I'll take her place. Connect me instead. Use me as the channel. Let her live. Jaya stared at him, stunned. She thinks of you as her father, she said quietly. Raylan nodded. Then let me protect her like one. The sacrifice of a soldier. The winds howled louder as the sky cracked with fire. Above the bunker, the enemy ship hovered, damaged, but still strong. Sparks flew from its engines. Smoke poured from the lower decks, but it refused to fall. Commander Vec growled into the comm. Send all remaining units. End this now. Inside the bunker, Raylan stared at the old energy grid built into the floor. Once used to power turrets during the war, it had been untouched for years. But now, it was the only hope. He placed his hand on the cold metal panel. "I've rerouted the main core to the comlink," Jaya said. "It will reach their ship, if the power is strong enough." Raylan nodded. "How long will I have?" Jaya looked away. "Less than a minute. After that, your body won't hold." Raylan looked down at Nima, who lay asleep under a warm blanket. She looked peaceful now, too young to carry such a gift, or such pain. "She's just a child," he whispered. "She deserves a life." Jaya placed her hand on his. "You're not just a soldier anymore." He gave her a small smile. "I know, I'm a father now." Jaya helped him into the harness. Wires wrapped around his arms. The core glowed blue beneath the floor. Raylan took a deep breath. "If this works, the ship will lose its energy. No shields, no weapons. You'll have a short window to escape." Jaya held back tears. "What about you?" He didn't answer. Instead, he looked at Nima one last time. He brushed her cheek gently. "Be brave, little star," he whispered. "Shine brighter than all of us." The countdown began. Jaya activated the link. Power surged through the wires. Raylan gritted his teeth as pain shot through his body. His eyes glowed blue. His skin shimmered like heat over metal. Up in the sky, the enemy ship shook. Commander Vex screamed, "What is this?" Control panels exploded. Engines shut down. Weapons failed. The ship began to fall. Raylan's heart raced. He could feel everything. The systems, the sky, the stars. Then, a voice. Faint. Gentle. Raylan. It was Nima. Her eyes were open now. She had woken. She stood beside him, holding his hand. "You can't do this alone," she said softly. Jaya shouted, "No, it's too dangerous." But Nima stepped into the light with him. A golden glow surrounded them both. The wires pulsed brighter, and then silence. High above, the massive ship split in half. Fire roared through its spine. The engines collapsed. In a burst of blue light, it fell into the desert, shaking the ground like thunder. Dust filled the sky. Then, nothing. Jaya ran to the core chamber. The wires were smoking, the lights were out. She screamed, "Raylan! Nima!" Then she saw them, lying on the floor, still but breathing. She dropped to her knees, pulled them both into her arms. They were alive. Barely, but alive. Hours later, under a quiet night sky, Raylan opened his eyes. Jaya sat beside him, holding his hand. He whispered, "Is it over?" She smiled, tears in her eyes. "You stopped them." Raylan looked around. "Where's Nima?" A small laugh answered him. Nima ran into his arms. "You came back," she said. He hugged her tight. "I promised, didn't I?" Far away, a message was sent from the wreckage. Target escaped. Human interference effective. Mission failed. But in a hidden room on a distant world, someone else was watching. A new voice whispered, "If one human soldier can stop us, we need to change everything." A family born in fire weeks passed. The sky over the desert was blue again. No more fire, no more enemy ships, just wind, silence, and peace. Inside the rebuilt bunker, laughter echoed for the first time in years. Raylan moved slowly these days. The energy surge had changed something in him. His body wasn't the same, but he was alive. Strong enough to walk. Strong enough to smile again. Jaya watched him from across the room as she cooked a simple meal. "You should still be resting," she said with a smirk. Raylan sat at the table. "Can't. Nima says I'm in charge of dishes tonight." From the corner, Nima shouted, "Because Daddy promised." Raylan laughed. "And I never break a promise." The word Daddy still surprised him. But he no longer fought it. It felt real now. Not like a title, like a truth. Outside, the desert had changed too. Raylan and Zaya used leftover parts from the wreckage to build something new. A dome greenhouse powered by the last working core from the enemy ship. Inside it, green plants grew in neat rows. Flowers, fruit, medicine herbs. Nima loved spending hours in there, touching the leaves. They bloomed brighter when she smiled. One afternoon, she turned to Raylan and asked, "Can we stay here forever?" Raylan knelt beside her. "As long as you want, little star." She looked thoughtful. "I want to help people, like Mama used to." Jaya stepped forward, placing a hand on her daughter's shoulder. "And like your father does now." News spread slowly across the outer colonies. Rumors of a fallen command ship, a child with glowing hands. Human soldier who stood against the impossible and won. Some didn't believe it. Others sent messages asking for help. Raylan answered them all. With Jaya, he turned the bunker into a refuge, just like she had dreamed. A place for the hunted, for the broken, for the gifted. No names, no questions, just safety. One night under the stars, Raylan sat by the fire with Jaya and Nima. They roasted small desert fruit over open flame. Nima leaned against him sleepily. "Do you miss the war?" she asked. Raylan shook his head. "Not even a little." Jaya smiled. "Do you miss being alone?" Raylan looked at her and then at Nima. He pulled them both close. "No," he said. "I never want to be alone again." And so the soldier who once lived in silence now lived surrounded by life. The alien woman who had run for years and finally rested without fear, and the little girl who was called a weapon, was now simply called daughter. A family, not born by blood, but by fire and choice and love.